Hi everyone, welcome to Leap Junction's workshop on customer segmentation and identifying target markets. We will get started, but make sure that you've grabbed your business model canvas and value proposition canvas so that you have those to reference. Download or save the worksheet associated with the workshop. And open your notebook or drive to take notes for further brainstorming. If you have started a Google Drive for your business, that's great because the worksheet associated with this workshop is actually a Google Sheet that functions much like an Excel document. So you can definitely download it as an Excel document, but it is a Google Sheet. So feel free to save that to your Google Drive. So my name is Alex Jaworski, and I'm the facilitator of the Customer Segmentation Workshop. I have worked with businesses in Leap Junction for several years. I am not currently with Leap Junction, but I've been helping out recently because one of my passions is market research and customer segmentation and identifying new customers or target markets for businesses that they might not have thought about already. So before we get started, I just want to make sure that you have watched the market research presentation, because this presentation is much shorter, but you will need to have familiarity with market research and have done a little bit of market research to properly go through this workshop and to properly go through the worksheet itself. So let's talk about target markets. So the majority of our market research will be on your target markets and your customer segmentation, as I mentioned in the market research presentation. Your target market is a group of potential customers that have both a need and a willingness to pay for the business's product or service. It is totally possible and extremely likely that you will have more than one target market, but it is crucial to use your research to reasonably guesstimate the portion of the target market that you will be able to capture. This will help you determine your potential cash flow, and knowing your target market also helps you to make smart, targeted marketing decisions. So I want to tell you first about the example that I'll be kind of using and going back to throughout this presentation, so you kind of get an idea of how to use the customer segmentation worksheet and how to think about your target markets and your customer segments. So my new yoga mat that I have created is pretty cool. It is a new technology that keeps your mat from getting slick with sweat when you're in your hot yoga classes, but you can also customize it with your own graphics. So you don't have to just settle for the plain yoga mat. You can put the picture of your favorite trip to Europe on your yoga mat if that's what brings you peace. So considering our new yoga mat, we want to look at our target market. So the fitness industry is worth $96.7 billion globally every year. But these statistics come from Wellness Creative Co., and they were published in January 2021, so they're quite current. But we do know that if I have a brand new yoga mat that I would like to find a customer and start selling to, I'm not going to make this number. But why not? So not every individual involved in fitness has use for a yoga mat, and not every person who needs a yoga mat is going to buy my yoga mat, and not everyone who buys my yoga mat would buy my yoga mat again. So the portion of the market is going to change over time, and you're not going to get your largest market right out of the gate. With marketing, testimonials, word of mouth, and product development, you will be able to grow and find new customers and markets that will grow your business and reach further into your slice of the industry. So it's important to first be super realistic about what your target market looks like and how much of the pie you can actually grab. So who is your target market? And this is going to be answered with these 10 questions. So who is the customer? Where do they buy? Where do they live? How many are there? When do they buy? What do they buy? Why do they buy? How do they buy? How much will they buy? And how often will they buy? So the first thing we're going to look at, you will see that this matches up with the worksheet. So when you open up your worksheet for this presentation, you will see the exact same cell blocks. So the first thing we're looking at is the customer ID, the individual demographics, and the location demographics. So customer ID can kind of be anything you want. I prefer to use adjectives to describe the customer I'm identifying, but you can also use letters and numbers. So if you want to say, this is for customer A or customer 1, or you want to say, this is for my longtime yogi, this can be your customer ID. And then we go into individual demographics, and those can include age, gender, ethnic identity, income level, and goals. And goals is a big one. Making sure you understand the goals of your customers is one of the most important aspects of the customer profile, because this helps to answer what they buy and why they buy it on a personal and an individual level. And this might be where you see a divergence in similar but different customer segments and how you might market a product based on these goals. So different people will have different goals that include, appearance, aesthetic, saving money, environmental factors, personal customization, those kinds of things. So what do your individual customers care about? And what are their goals, and what are they trying to represent to the world? When we look at location, it's important to consider where your customer lives, but it also might be where they might be purchasing goods or looking for new products in online locations. And these online locations can include websites, but it should also include Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as potential marketplaces. But it could also be things like blogs or YouTube videos and that sort of thing. So who are the influencers, right? Then geographic location could be your city, but you also might want to think about where people spend time physically when they're in this city. So where are they working? Where are they traveling? How are they traveling? Are they biking? Are they driving on highways? Are they driving on city streets that, have businesses facing onto the street? Are they walking from an office building, but they have to walk down several streets? Or are they parking in the parking lot and going right into the building? Those kinds of things, And what are they doing for leisure? Where are they on the weekends? Where are they after work? Where are they after school? How do they get there? What is their pathway to get to those spots? So once you have your individual demographics and your location demographics kind of identified, we can head into buying habits for general purpose, and then buying habits as it relates to your business specifically. So these are a lot of the questions that we already discussed. So who are they buying from now? Who are your competitors? How do they buy? Is it online? Is it in person? Do they need to touch? Do they need to feel? Do they need to see someone using the product? Are they okay with just scrolling through a website and seeing it in picture form? Do they want videos? When do they buy? So is this a recurring purchase? Is this a weekend purchase? Is it happening more so throughout the week? If you're a food spot and you have lunch items and dinner items, are you selling as many lunch items on the weekend as you are during the week when people are at work? Why do they buy? So what are their motivations for buying the products that you sell or the services that you sell in other with your competitors or within your industry? What do they buy? So when they have a problem, what service or product are they buying to meet the needs of that problem? How much will they buy? So are they willing to buy in bulk, or are they buying kind of a product at one time and hoping it lasts for a while, and then maybe they'll buy again later, which brings us to how often will they buy? And, does your product last a long time? Is it a weekly investment? Is it a monthly investment? Are you hoping that they get a couple years out of your product? That sort of thing. So how often are they buying? And then from your business, so why do they buy from you? Why specifically are they buying from you? And this really lends heavily from your SWOT analyses that you did in the market research presentation. So also asking yourself, what need do you meet? And how much will they pay? So, if they're buying weekly, they're not going to want to spend $1,000 every single week, but they might spend $1,000 if they know that they're going to get 5 to 10 years out of it. So how much are they willing to pay if your product promises a certain amount of time? What are the factors they consider before buying from you? So it is likely that your customer has already been meeting needs or identifying and solving problems with another product or service from another business. So what are the factors that they're considering if they're going to make a switch? And why would they buy from you? And what experience are they expecting? So, there are customers, if we look at older customers, oftentimes they want a little bit more of a personal, very customer service experience. Whereas we look at younger customers and they're fine going online, they're fine going into stores where the sales rep doesn't ask them if they want help immediately when they walk in the store, those kinds of things. So what kind of experience are they expecting in buying from you, but also what kind of experience are they expecting after they've purchased from you? Are they hoping that you are connecting with them a little bit more, through newsletters or YouTube tutorials, or maybe you remind them when they should be buying your product next? So let's go back to my example of the new yoga mat. So I've identified 4 customers. I have my longtime yogis, I have the folks that are new to my practice, I have my gyms, and I have my yoga studios. Gyms and yoga studios will probably have the same buying practices as each other, but you might want to break customer ID out into large gyms. So like think Good Life, and then smaller gyms like yoga studios or boutique spots, like the different boutique gyms that happen. So they don't necessarily have to be yoga studios; they can be fitness labs, but Good Life is more likely to place bulk orders and wholesale orders and have, a more distant relationship with you. Whereas a yoga studio who knows that you offer custom graphics and they can get their logo printed on your yoga mat, they're still going to buy in bulk, but it might not be as bulk as Good Life. So consider that. But we're going to look more at the longtime yogis and the new to the practice, because these are more likely to be our recurring customers, or customers that we connect with on a more individual level, and also the customers who we're going to reach out to with our marketing practices. So the longtime yogis, we want to identify their age, gender, and ethnicity, which can be, collected through the market research. We are going to assume that their income level is probably mid to high, and they probably attend studio classes. So I don't know if you've ever gone to a yoga studio, but even their per class rate can be pricey, but their monthly rate is often more than like a gym membership, a typical gym membership. So that mid to high income bracket feels like a comfortable guess right now. And of course, some of this is going to be guesswork and some of this is going to be supported by market research, but doing some of that primary research that we talked about in the market research presentation, where maybe you are a secret shopper and you go to a yoga studio and you kind of can gauge, what cars are people climbing into after yoga? What product line are they typically bringing? Are they showing up wearing Lululemon, or are they showing up, wearing different yoga brands? So being able to kind of see the customer in the exact situation that you would expect them to be in is kind of crucial for your primary research, and to confidently say that the folks that you are appealing to in the longtime yogi customer segment is a mid to high income range. And then what are their goals? So health, wellness, and fitness, of course. When we talk about yoga, when we talk about gyms and eating well, we are focusing on people's desire to be healthy, to have wellness, and to be fit. Longtime yogis, if they're looking for a new yoga mat, their goal is probably to better their practice. So being able to answer how you can better their practice is probably a good start. Another one that, sometimes we don't often think about is status. So is there a status to buying a yoga mat that's a little more expensive? Or is there a status to having a yoga mat that's completely customized to their exact desires? Probably. So, maybe status and how they look in the other class or to other classmates might be something that they're motivated by. They might also be motivated by having the most recent gear. So as new things develop and as new products come to light, think the Apple iPhone and how everybody waited in line, particularly in the first few iterations of the iPhone. Even if their phone worked perfectly well, they wanted to have the most current iPhone because it boasted new features. So maybe that's something that you should consider for your customers, and maybe something that we should be considering for our longtime yogis. There is a uniqueness there because we can customize our yoga mat, and there's also something there if we're starting a new business and we're starting to reach out to new customers. There might be a little bit of pride if you can say, I had it first. Like I was using this yoga mat sooner than most people were. That can be exciting for people, and longtime yogis who have been tapped into the practice for a long time might see that. As we look at the folks who are new to the practice, again, age, gender, and ethnicity can be identified here or with market research. The income level is probably mid to high if they attend classes, but there are plenty of free online resources on YouTube or on various websites or through various newsletters. So they actually might not be mid to high. They might just be looking for a cheap piece of equipment that means that they can get a full body workout at home. So instead of buying, a big piece of gym equipment that they might not have space for, maybe they live in an apartment, but they use a yoga mat to kind of get that full body workout. And a yoga mat even the most expensive yoga mat compared to a large piece of gym equipment is going to be considerably cheaper. So new to the practice could have various income levels. The goals. So again, much like our longtime yogis, you go into yoga because you want health, wellness, and fitness to be a part of your life. And they want to purchase equipment that will make them appear like they know more than they do. People don't like to enter a space and not appear like they've been there the whole time, so maybe they want to purchase that equipment that makes it look like they know exactly what they're doing and they've been doing it for a long time. But they're also interested in purchasing gear that will help them learn. So, buying a yoga mat, a good quality yoga mat at first that helps them with balance and making sure that they're also comforted and supported when they're in Shavasana or corpse pose might be something that would appeal to them. And of course, the new to the practice might also have a desire for status or to have uniqueness and, through the graphics on the yoga mat. So make sure that you really think about your customers and why they're buying and who they're buying from already. And you can identify that with market research and making sure that you do primary research as well. So the location demographics for our longtime yogis, who we're going to focus on, online locations. So Instagram, they're following influencer accounts, they're following yoga accounts, they're following health and wellness accounts. They might be following different food type accounts. So maybe vegan or keto or natural food diets. Make sure that you're exploring outside of just like the standard, I have a yoga mat, I'm trying to appeal to yogis, I should only look at yoga accounts. Your clients, your target market, your customers might be in different places. They might be on Facebook and Twitter. Maybe they're following a particular guru who promotes stuff on Facebook. I know that they're following YouTubers because there are so many YouTubers with millions of subscribers who are yoga instructors and who are appealing to longtime or new yogis. And they might also be on health and wellness blogs. So they might be looking at different ways of being healthy and different ways of feeling well. So you might see them on those different websites as well. Geographic location, so where are they physically? So London, Ontario, let's say, but also they might be at yoga studios and gyms. So make sure that you kind of know where your customer is spending time: work, play, leisure, home. What are their general buying habits? So they're buying from all over, but probably most significantly Lululemon and similar athleisure retailers. So, Lululemon, as we talked about, might have a certain status for our longtime yogis, but they're also probably, Lululemon's expensive, so they're probably buying from various athleisure retailers. They buy online and in person, but not very often, and probably only one at a time. So this is specifically about our yoga mat, right? No person ever wants to buy a yoga mat that only lasts a week. So, and they're probably not buying in bulk unless they own a yoga studio. But again, that's a different client or customer segment, as we talked about. And they buy because yoga needs a mat. It is the universal piece of equipment for yoga and for other types of stretch based exercises. So Pilates uses yoga mats and different types of workouts. And sometimes when you're working out from home, having a yoga mat, even when you're doing strength training or cardio or core, yoga mats are helpful to have. And people buy because because different mats have different qualities, and so you kind of have to identify how the qualities of your item appeal to the people that you're trying to convert into customers. So longtime yogis, why are they buying for us? So like I said, our mat has special technology to wick away sweat while staying dry, and they can put any picture they want on it. So particularly for hot yoga, things get sweaty. And if you have a fabric or a yoga mat that is not non-slip, you can fall. So you want to make sure that your yoga mat will support you even when you're getting sweaty and into the moves, right? And you can put any picture that they want on it. So we meet status needs, we meet the needs of those who desire to be individualists, and we also meet the functional needs, like what people expect for a yoga mat to function. Like, although I know that yoga mats typically appear like they're just laying on the ground, there are different qualities to them. That means that they are more functional than other yoga mats. I think that they'll pay between $90 and $110 because it's similar to Lululemon, but we also do offer that customization option, right? So Lululemon yoga mats kind of seem to vary between like $70 and $100 depending on the thickness and the material and the different things that can be on the yoga mat. But because we customize with custom pictures and that sort of thing, I think that we could probably get the higher end of that cost spectrum out of there. And longtime yogis, I think, would like an experience as a customer. They want good customer service, but they also want to see that there's a community around the product, because yoga is about community and doing things together for health and wellness. So making sure that there are resources for them to establish that community and to participate in it. So the barriers to access. So what will prevent customers from buying your option? So this is another component on the customer segment worksheet. So be honest with ourselves. These come from our weaknesses and our threats from our SWOT analysis. So what will prevent customers from buying our option? And then we want to talk a little bit about the market share and the strategy. So how many customers in this profile can you expect to reach in your first 6 months? So when we look at longtime yogis, a lot of them are probably pretty brand loyal. So we're not going to get 100% of them in the first 6 months. We might get 2 to 3%, 4 to 5%, maybe 10% of, you know, our geographic or our online location. Probably not online location, but geographic maybe. And then we want to consider our first 12 months. And then we also want to consider our first 3 years. So of course, this is more along the lines of goal setting. And we are assuming a lot about our marketing resources and our marketing strategies to try and get that. But I think it's important to consider the first 12 months and the first 3 years because it allows you to set goals for yourself and to also use your market research and your business planning to see what you might need in terms of manufacturing, marketing resources. Maybe you need to hire more people. So in order to hire more people, how many customers will you need to get in the first 12 months? How many in the first 3 years to keep your business going and sustainable and moving on an upward trajectory? And how will you reach them? So with your longtime yogis, I mean, how will you reach them over the next 6 months? You want to go heavy into the advertising. You want to use Instagram and Facebook and YouTube advertising. Maybe you want to connect with some influencers, some health and wellness blogs, ask them to use your product and then to talk about it in a sponsored ad content because that's where your customers, your longtime yogis most likely are. You also maybe want to start a newsletter, your own YouTube video community with you doing yoga, that sort of thing. So how will you reach people over the next 6 months? And this is primarily your marketing strategies. So what are you going to do to reach your customers and what are you going to do to convert them into your customers? So it's not just about putting the yoga mat in front of them. It's also about convincing them that you're someone that they want to switch their brand to buy. So there we go again, the Instagram targeted ads, the YouTube targeted ads, pop-up shops in local yoga boutiques. So if we're going for more of that geographic location for our yogis, we might actually want to partner with a local yoga boutique and do a pop-up shop and offer people to use our yoga mats in their next class and, you know, provide them, say, hey, you have your yoga mat with you, but why don't you take mine in? Try it out, and then the next time you're in the market for one, consider me, and here's a discount. Those kinds of things. So making sure that you're doing pop-up shops if you are product-based. You also want to do your community building with at-home yoga flows through YouTube or maybe a Facebook group, that sort of thing. And then maybe you also have newsletters with yogi updates, or maybe you invite people to do newsletter blogs for you, and you have different yogis come in and talk about their yoga practice and why they love using your yoga mat. So identify your customers. So you want to make sure that you are identifying as many customer segments as you can and piecing out how you will reach them. That's the most important thing here. And it's probably the thing that's going to take a little bit of time and a lot of market research. So make sure that you are using places like StatScan, but also your primary research by going into places that sell products and services similar to what you want to offer. So what's next? You're going to identify your target markets, and then you are also going to fill out a customer profile sheet for every target customer segment you identify. So that worksheet that is affiliated with this workshop has it all laid out for you. You just have to save it into your Google Drive or download it as an Excel sheet, and you can start filling that out. Feel free to use the tab functions or create new worksheets as you identify new customer segments, and be as specific as possible and be as realistic as possible. And then this might also be a good opportunity to use that business model canvas to identify how they fit into the channels through marketing and sales, and where your customers are and how you're going to reach them. And maybe pull out your sticky note pad and start sticking on a few new channels so that you are most prepared. And then we want to hear from you. We want you to book with us so that we can hear what you've got going on with your market research and your customer segmentation, because maybe the folks at Leap Junction have a few ideas of how to reach more of them. And maybe we even have identified some customer segments that you haven't thought of. So make sure you head over to leapjunction.ca and fill out the book with us form or email us directly. And if you haven't already jumped over to our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter, the handles are right there. So please follow us and get in touch. Thank you so much for going on the customer segmentation and market research journeys with me. Look forward to working with you all, and best of luck.